So a lot of my regular viewers know that a couple years back I built something that I refer to as the metal removal machine. It's basically just a combination sanding grinding apparatus that I built myself out of mostly scrap metal and an off-the-shelf electric motor, and it works great. You know, we use the thing all the time. We've put bazillions of hours on it, and in today's project we're essentially going to be building a smaller version of that, which isn't made to grind metal, it's made to clean metal. We're basically just going to build something with a couple of large 10-inch commercial grade wire wheels on it, and hopefully it'll be pretty awesome for removing rust, paint, grease, maybe not grease, but rust, paint, powder coat, things along those lines. And I'm really optimistic about this. I guess at this point pretty much all we have to do is put together a nice square tube frame here, try to get our motor in and get some bearings situated on top, and we can take it from there. That's pretty good. Just like that. You can already see this thing starting to come together. We're making progress here, guys. You can see I got this belt tensioner set up, welded together. The way it works, it's very simple. There's just this arm which pivots back and forth. It's held in place by this spring here, which keeps our belt nice and tight. So one of the design characteristics of a project like this is we have to make sure the shaft can't really walk itself out that way or come out this way. So on this side you can see we've welded in this little stopper which just pushes up against the surface of this bearing here in a way that doesn't interfere with the bearing, of course. Now the thing is, on this side everything needs to be removable, so that way if we ever need to replace like you know, the belt or whatever, we can just pull a bolt here, and the nut off this way, and the entire shaft will move out that way. So this collar, the way we've designed it and machined it, this side is larger, it's not threaded. This side, as you can see, it is threaded. So this saves us from having to put a nut on the outside of this, and just looks a little cleaner. And so let's see, this is really precise. This is like 1/1000th of an inch precision stuff here, but it does go on. A little tense here. This is a ratcheting wrench job if I've ever seen such a thing. So this is the kind of thing where safety glasses are ultra important, because these things, they shoot off like little needles, and you know, if that goes in your eye you'll be, you know, half blind or whatever. So I will say that I really like this thing. You know, I built this thing with rat rod styling in mind. It looks like it's made out of scrap metal. It looks like something that some farmer or hillbilly would cobble together out of stuff he finds in his barn, and I absolutely love it. Not only for that reason, but mostly because underneath the 4-piece riveted belt guard and everything, there's actually, in my mind, a pretty decent machine. I don't want to talk myself up too much, but it's an easily replaceable, standard-sized electric motor. Just uses a standard V-belt through a tensioner, through a belt tensioner with a bearing in it, not one of the cheap ones that's just a bushing. It's got a real ball bearing. The shaft rides on ball bearings. They're universal, they're replaceable, one on each side. It's really smooth, and check out how quiet this thing is. You hardly even know it's on. Literally whisper quiet. So that's what I like about it, you know, you've got rustic looking stuff, and then you've got precisely machined components and super smooth ball bearings. So it's sort of a nice meeting of the two worlds here. The real question, how does it actually work? This is some really nasty, really scaly 1/4-inch scrap metal. And so there's two sides of this. There's this wheel, which is the twisted wire one, and this is the most aggressive. You can see even when it's working, it's not very loud. I mean, you can see down to the pits in the metal here already. And then we got the fine side. Pretty much the same deal. I think most of the work that gets done on this is going to be done on the fine wheel because even though it's a fine wheel, it's actually extremely abrasive. The question, what about paint? We got this part of a hydraulic cylinder here that we cut up a while ago. Some really crappy, ugly, flaky paint. We'll not just take off the flaky stuff, but some of the solid stuff too, just to see. So the fine wheel is good for everything but the stuff that's really on here. It ate that flaky paint. This wheel should be quite a bit better on the intact stuff. And it is. I could keep going, but I think that pretty much proves the point. Not only did this stuff just absolutely brutalize this paint, but it actually took off the mill scale and the primer that's underneath the paint. Just like that. I love it. You know, I wanted to build something that was kind of like the metal removal machine. This wonderful monstrosity over here that's half sander, half, I believe, 10-inch grinder. No, those might be 8-inch wheels. I'm pretty positive they're 10 now. I built this. I wanted something kind of like it, just obviously not as much power because it doesn't, it doesn't require nearly as much power to spin these as it does to spin these. Or I'm sorry, not spin, but actually do work with. So, a smaller motor, something that was maybe a little more compact because this thing is huge. Something that maybe looks a little bit more refined, but it still hangs on to that shop-built, industrial, very simplistic, hard-looking aesthetic that I was going for with this. So, I'm really, really happy with the way this tool turned out. I really think it's going to be in a lot of videos to come. It's the kind of thing that, I mean, it's built with off-the-shelf components and some standard steel shapes, and I really, really like how this came out. I hope you guys did too. I had a blast putting this video together, and thanks for watching. See you next time.